Welcome to Hypnotic Talk with Miri and Neota. So, this is a space where Miri and I meet to discuss stories and share our knowledge and information about all things hypnosis. And so, Miri and I have taken our practices in different modalities and different specialties since we became hypnotherapists, clinical hypnotherapists, but we remain connected in our love of all things hypnosis and the healing aspects. And this week, we are going to be discussing tips and tricks and managing anxiety with and without hypnosis, but managing the blockages or the physical, mental, and emotional anxiety that can be very devastating in day-to-day life. Now, we both Miri and I see a lot of clients with anxiety at all different ages, from youth all the way up to senior citizens. Anxiety is a prevailing issue for so many people. And so the tips that we'll be sharing today, the stories and the information that we have today isn't a list of what to do for every single person. These are things that all people can try and assess and decide which ones work, but they're all very effective. Miri, why don't you tell me? And practical. That's a good one. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I think the first one that I share with my client is how to breathe. And we're all breathing, right? But there is a different way of breathing while you are in a state of anxiety and while you want to introduce some kind of relaxation or calmness. And it's about the inhale and the exhale. And we can tap into our or activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which represents the rest and digest, by inhaling. So every time, by exhaling. So every time we inhale, we activate mostly the sympathetic nervous system. And the exhalation is the parasympathetic nervous system. And of course, we need to create balance between them. It's not that we need only one activated and the other one not, but we need to create a good balance, healthy balance between them.
Exactly. Yes.
And the way I start with breathing, and for some of my clients is very foreign, this kind of breathing, because we just usually we don't notice how we breathe. And
well, that's the funny thing about it is that, I mean, the thing is we're always breathing, right? We don't even have to be awake, or people in comas are breathing. Our bodies breathe. They do it automatically, but we will interrupt our breathing without even recognizing it. People holding their breath in a state of anxiety or fear. And so having the cognitive information that this is something that we can actually take, sometimes we can't regulate our blood pressure. We can't maybe regulate our heartbeat because those things happen so powerfully inside of us. But breathing is something that we can actually take control over and use it for a benefit. So that's to install that balance. So how do you explain to them what to do?
So the way we start is by just breathing. Like I ask them to breathe comfortably. And they're already sitting down and they don't need to run or to freeze or to fight. They just breathe. And so just by doing that, they are being more aware of how they breathe. And then I start guiding them into deepening their inhalations.
Yeah.
Like imagine that you inhale and send the air all the way to your stomach.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can, imagine a color that they like.
Yeah.
Or a color they feel relaxed with, right?
Like inhaling a neutral tone.
Yeah, this color all the way to their stomach and fill it up with this color, with this quality, with the qualities of this color, and then exhale. And the exhalation is what the emphasis that we put on the exhalation is exhale twice as long. And of course, sometimes you don't want to count, the beats of the breath, but you can assess if your exhalation is longer than your inhalation.
Okay.
And if you extend your exhalation, then you activate your parasympathetic nervous system.
Right.
And once they're in it, you can add to it. You can give suggestions about exhale every thought that you don't need anymore and send it to wherever.
Yeah.
You can ask them to relax their shoulders. You can ask them to start notice the surface that holds them.
Right.
And you can get many things involved in this very simple and very short breath, but they will take this breath with them. And
yes,
starting then, and of course, giving suggestions and maybe offering when and where they can do it, they can start using or activating more of the parasympathetic nervous system, introducing more of the rest and digest into their day.
yes, yes. Because breathing is something you can do, you can do it like if you go to a yoga class, and breathing is a very big component. And so everybody in the room is participating, and you kind of make a show of it, and you're doing it intentionally. But breathing is something that you can also do personally in a situation where you don't want to draw attention to yourself. It's something that you can do without, alerting people around you that you're doing the breathing. You can just gently take care of it, like just taking a nice deep breath in and noticing within yourself, and then letting it out. And, you don't have to it's something you can do personally, even within a group of people.
Absolutely. And the more you practice it, you can get deeper into your breaths. You can, start being mindful about it. The temperature of the air you breathe versus versus the temperature of the air you breathe out.
Yeah.
And how you feel, the movement of your muscles, the tummy, the diaphragm going up and down, and all of that. So there are many
breathing
things
in through your nose, breathing in through your mouth, exhaling through either of those things.
Absolutely. And by that, not only that you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, but you also bring in awareness and shifting your mind from the issue that you were focused on to the present moment.
Right. So you're physically making changes to your body, but mentally you're also kind of bypassing the maybe the trigger, the anxiety trigger, or the environmental exposure that has caused the anxiety.
Absolutely. And it's beautiful
Genius.
because now you are more aware of the moment rather than the thought that you have about the future that you have no control of.
Which is what causes the anxiety, trying to control things in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk about the next one that we have?
Shall I just riff on it? Shall I just give my
Yeah, go ahead.
So there is the ability to take control of your environment and how you are placed in your environment by going through the cycle of your senses, the 5 senses. So taking a moment to be aware of something that you see, taking aware for a moment of something you can smell, being aware of anything you can taste in this moment, and then what you feel and what you hear, and using the 5 senses in a cycle to be hyper focused on it and then let it release. And again, you're doing a mindful shift. You're doing a specific activity that gives you control. And that's a lot of anxiety, is the feeling of being out of control, even though it's triggered by something, it might be a trauma response, or it might be a fear that you have. subconsciously that causes this anxiety response. But what you do by assigning importance to the moment of using your senses. So you're kind of bypassing the thought or the mental connection you have to the thing that is creating the anxiety, named or unnamed, right? That's another thing about anxiety is sometimes you feel anxiety and you're like, what the hell is that? Where's that coming from? And then you can go down that rabbit hole. So you're using your intention to go through and override in a way your anxious brain and your physical experience within that environment. You're using those things to make the change and divert the anxiety into something you have control over. Like, I'm going to be hyper focused. What can I see? What can I hear? What can I taste? What can I feel? What's something comforting that I feel? What can I hear? Like all of the things, and using the power as a diversionary and calming tactic.
So I love it. And I have a story about it. I have a story.
Good.
So I worked with a child. She was around 11, 10, 30, 11, 10, 30, 10, 10 and a half, 11. And she was very anxious. But her mom, and of course, this is with permission, and her mom was anxious as well. So she could understand it, understand the state her child is in. And one of the exercises that we did, one time we went out of my office and we just walked around. And I remember, like I said, okay, so you know what? Can you tell me 5 things you can see at the moment? And she was like, from, the very consuming state she was at, she was like, oh yeah, I can see this tree and I can see this dog and I can see this and I can see that. So, okay, only 5. And then we went to 4 things she can touch, and 3 things she can hear, and 2 things she can smell, and 1 thing she can taste. And it was like a game for her.
Right.
And then her mom came to pick her up and she said, oh, Mom, we played such a great game. And she started explaining. And anyways, I told her mom how to do it with her while she's in the state, right? But remember, her mom was anxious too. Her mom experienced anxiety as well. What happened is the child really liked this game, but it also helped the mother to shift her attention. And not only that, the child's, she could sense when the mom was anxious, and she said, Mom, can you tell me 5 things you can see? Can you? And it was so funny, and it was really amazing, and it helped both of them just to shift their awareness to, to here and now. And then what we did the next time we met, I said, okay, I want you to tell me 5 things you are looking forward to.
Okay.
And 3 songs you can hear now in your mind. And so there are many room for play in this exercise. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's good.
Yeah, and you don't always have to keep it as vision, auditory, and kinesthetic and all of that. Like I found that the more playfulness you put into it, the more enjoyable is the exercise, and then they do it by themselves, either kids or adults. Like, okay, what song can I bring up to my mind that can give me energy? What am I looking forward in the next 5 hours? Oh, this meeting, I want to meet this person, and so on. So this one is like, I really like it. And I often played it with my kids, my own kids, especially during COVID time at the beginning when, there were no school and we went on walks. And my daughter, my youngest one, she was 9 and a half at that time, and she was riding a scooter, and she's like, but Mom, what's going to happen and how we're going to be, and so on. And so, okay, let's think about 5 things that you were doing today that you're excited for. And so
Yeah.
this is my story, and I really like this 5, 4, 3,
I
2.
love that. So it's the same technique and applied in different ways or in modified ways. Because like you say, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's a system that is very empowering and fun. It's a fun way to do it. And even just using your senses, maybe without even assigning the numbers, but it's the same thing, but you can modify it for anything. Being aware,
Absolutely.
going through the cycle of your senses is very like what's that word I'm looking for? It brings you into the moment. It's grounding, and it's makes you present. When
Yeah.
you're present in your senses, you're present in the moment, or when you're looking for the things in your, like, and then, but using the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is a very fun, playful, and powerful way to deal with anxiety, or to take yourself into a place of feeling powerful,
Yeah.
giving you that power.
And just to mention one more thing, that I worked with clients who are inclined to OCD patterns. So
Yes.
we are not diagnosed, but this was their, the way they put it out. They have
Yes.
obsessive thoughts, or they need to follow things exactly to
Yeah.
the, the letter. And I always tell them, just be curious, just play with it. And
Yeah.
once they play with it, this is how it becomes their own. And this is how we know that it's successful, right? They can do
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
with this as well, just do what feels right for you, do what you enjoy doing, and just look for new ways to use it. So we give
Yes.
you the foundation, we give you the structure, but
Yeah.
it's up to you to find other ways.
Absolutely. It's not an assignment. It's not
You're
something
right.
that you have to complete perfectly and hand in. It's a tool for you to investigate and see what feels right for you, and how your personality and your strengths are compatible with it.
Absolutely. And it's amazing once it becomes personalized to the client, by the client, by the
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
This is the way we know that they will use it more often, because it's
Yeah.
theirs.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Fantastic.
let's go to the next one.
What do you got?
Journaling. I love journaling. And
Yes.
we can use it as gratitude journal, or we can use it as just journaling. But I love it because what I ask them to do first, my clients, when we work together, is we put it in a frame of gratitude journal. We want to introduce more positivity to their day, and to allow them to notice the good stuff. Because, we can say that it was a bad day, but not every moment of the day was bad, right? There were probably few moments of the day were not very pleasant, but the rest was either okay or good, but the bad is overtaking the good. So this is a way to learn how to notice the good.
Yes.
And
How to
another way,
focus on the good.
exactly, and it shifts the attention. And it's like putting a compass to our mind to show, okay, today I need to write 3 things that were positive throughout my day. Now I need to look for them. So throughout
Right.
the day, you're actively looking for those good things,
Yeah.
which I love. And then, because you are putting it on paper, and I love pen and paper rather than putting it in, on your phone or on your
Right.
computer, but regardless, wherever you put it, or write it, you can reflect back. At the beginning, you can see how you evolve. Like if at the beginning you just wrote beautiful flower that you noticed, maybe later on, after a week or 2 or 3 or months, you start writing about the flower and what you noticed about it. So it won't be only one word, it will be a sentence. And maybe later on it will be like an entire page full of description of the flower and how you were experiencing it. So,
Yes.
and maybe, you know,
Personalizing.
exactly. And maybe at the beginning, you'll be able to see only one thing, and it will be very hard to find the second or the third positive things throughout the day. And later on, you'll notice that you have like tens of things, and you need to choose 3 out of them.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Instead of looking for the 3 things, now you have to weed out the other things.
absolutely. So
I love it.
I love it. I love how the person, like the individual, can follow through and see the evolution of
Yeah.
the way they think. And I think
Yeah,
this
and
is empowering.
it's so great. I mean, gratitude and affirmations are part of my journey to coming to hypnotherapy to begin with. And from Louise Hay is where I learned it when I was in counseling. And I was just thinking, you know, Louise Hay introduced this concept in the early 80s, and it has stayed true and powerful all the time. You know, fads come and go, and different things, you know, come into fashion and go out of fashion, but gratitude and the power of gratitude is consistent. And it was a big part of my journey in healing my stuff and shifting my mindset from bad days to good days. And it's things happen. We all experience, you know, disappointment, or we experience things that are challenging. I mean, you know, if your tire goes flat in your car, or you know, you don't get the thing that you were hoping or expecting to get, or you know, even in your relationships you can have fights or breakups. But you know, to learn the power of assigning importance, right? So in my life, I've had some big challenges. I've had some traumas.
Mhm.
And in my perspective, and what I share with my clients and my loved ones, is using your worst experiences as a benchmark. So the worst thing that has ever happened to me was, you know, a heartbreak. My heart broke. And so now I know the quality of a bad day. And anything that isn't that day is a good day with maybe some challenges. And I use gratitude as from that benchmark. I will use my gratitude in everything. Like, you know, if something does go wrong, if, you know, there's mechanical issues, or, you know, if something breaks down, or lets you down, or is dirtier than, you know, if your dog shakes his mud all over your bedding. It's not the easiest thing to deal with, but there's so much gratitude outside of that one thing, right? And to not allow something that happens, an event that happens in the day, that to have the power to take away your ability to feel gratitude. And when my daughter was little, and she would be miserable or grouchy, and I mean, you're entitled to your moods, obviously, but she would get in a really, really grouchy mood, and we would be sharing that. And then I would say, now tell me 3 things that you love, or tell me 3 things that made you smile today, or tell me your 3 favorite characters in this show, and using that number 3 and switching the gratitude. And I didn't know until recently, now that she's an adult, that became a habit for her. Even now, when she's in a pissy mood, and then she'll think, well, what are 3 things though that I
And that's
what are 3
beautiful,
things
right? Yeah,
yeah, and it's because the power of gratitude. I mean, gratitude can change your attitude, right? And you know,
absolutely.
sometimes you wake up and you're in a down mood, or things are off, but gratitude can change your attitude. It really, really can. And it's the simplest, cheapest, right? You're not introducing substances or outside forces. It's all from within. It's
Absolutely.
so powerful. And pen to paper is a commitment, so it really, really helps. But you can just think. You can think of things that you're grateful for in the moment. I love gratitude. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, Anything else that you want to bring up now?
Well, should we
Any other
talk
tool?
about the substances and the empowerment of making good choices around anxiety and what we introduce all otherwise?
Um, yeah, we can do that. Of course, we can have many other tools that you
Yes.
can use, or that one can use when they're anxious, just to shift it. But I want to say, before we go to the other aspects that are
Yep.
substances and food and stuff like that, I want to say that we're always going to have some days that are not as we expect them to be. And
Yep.
it's like we need to think of how we meet those days, or how we meet those moments in the day, so we know we can go through them. This is one thing.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Having strategies is a sense of having power.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing is that um, even when we feel we know everything, always something can happen. That's life. When
Indeed.
someone learn to sleep well, or when someone learn to live anxiety free, and to introduce more calm, there still might be some things that will bring anxious
Yes.
thoughts into their mind. We need to see how we meet it, but we also want to see a trend, meaning we want to see the overall, not, oh, okay, so now I was anxious, so now everything that I did before it's worthless.
Right.
So we want to take what we did do and how we meet this moment. So again, if I'm talking about myself, when um, uh, about I don't know, a few years ago, more than 8 years ago, but I had lots of panic attacks, and I'm talking about daily panic attacks.
Yes.
Um, for now, yes, sometimes I get anxious, but it's not escalating to be a panic attack first. Second, I can talk myself through it. And
Right.
third, I know the intensity of it, which is not even close to be, oh my God, it's not panic attack, but I can't function. It's not even close to that. So it's the evolution of how we are meeting things, how we are evolving our approach to it, and learning that it's not about taking control of something, but it's about being able to meet what comes to us as we are.
Ah, love that.
So I think it's very important, because we will have unpleasant moments, we will have unpleasant days, but it's what we are making out of them. And if we have
Yes.
the tools, if we have the strategies, then we're okay. Um, so I think it's important to say that, yes, you can eliminate your anxiety in general,
Right.
but you still might have some anxious moments. The important thing is that you learn how to deal with those moments, how to go through them.
Yes. And knowing that you have a strategy prepared
Yeah,
is is wonderful. And so, I mean, we've learned some tapping that
yeah,
can help override anxiety. Havening, there are physical things that you can do. Your fingers hold emotions, and so sometimes um, using a soothing. I mean, this is a natural thing to do. People will clasp their hands naturally as
yeah.
a subconscious or even unconscious method to managing emotions, but you can do it intentionally by learning, that you store emotions in your fingers like sadness
Mhm.
and anger and anxiety and fear and yeah, I forget the other one. See, these are things that you can know and have to refresh all the time, right?
Absolutely. But it's about the evolution of it, basically. It's the strategies that you have. And one more thing that I would like to mention before we move on is that most of what the tools that we are using, we're not practicing them while we are at the peak of our anxiety. We're practicing them throughout the day. We're practicing them as we wake up, as we go to sleep. So first of all, what happens is that we're activating as we said before, the parasympathetic nervous system. So it allows us to stay calmer for longer.
Yes.
So we won't be as anxious as before. And when we are feeling anxiety, when we have anxious thoughts, this is when we already practiced and play with those strategies and tools that we don't need to think, oh, what do I need to do now? So we already have it in our repertoire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And ready for us to act. And this is one thing that is, I think it's very helpful to know that, okay, I'll do it now when I'm calm or when I'm not anxious, neutral, and I'll do it now. I'll play with it now. I'll use different ways to play with them. I'm going to be curious about them. When I need them, I know what is good for me and how it works.
Right.
So let's move to the other aspects of how to deal with anxiety or manage anxiety.
And so, with anything in our lives, and anxiety is such a prevailing thing that people deal with, and it's a health issue. And having anxiety is a health issue. And anything that you're doing with your health and your well-being, if you aren't having the activity that supports it and the diet that supports it, you're just not utilizing everything you can to make those things better. So everything that we consume becomes part of us. It plays into how our health and our mindset works in the outside world. And so things like, obviously, caffeine, white sugar, these things can be so activating to our nervous system, activating to our physical bodies, and having an anxious response, or maybe a diminished ability to manage the anxiety. So some of those things, alcohol, those things that make our bodies unhealthy, also play into our anxiety response.
Processed food. But again, it's not that we're saying not to have them at all. We are saying, just be curious about what happens when you are having them. Be curious about the amount that you consume.
Yes.
And like, it's without judgment, just, be a detective, be observer, just notice what happens. And then if you need, maybe reduce it for a little bit, and again, check again.
Oh, and decide at what points these things are good. Like, I have a friend who has nightmares if she eats popcorn before she goes to bed. I don't know what that.
Chocolate. Yeah. When I eat chocolate before bed, I guess everything that has lots of sugar, I have nightmares.
Isn't that? And so that creates anxiety. I mean, the response to a nightmare is an anxiety response physically in your body. It's unpleasant. And so knowing that, and when I was young, I am a very confirmed coffee drinker. I am. And when I was young, I would drink coffee right until bedtime. I mean, I could drink it day and night. And now, as I've, got some age underneath me, I don't process it the way I used to. And now it will be disruptive to me, and it will disrupt me physically, like there are, it can, if I have too much coffee, it can cause a lot of physical responses. It will definitely interrupt my sleep if I have it too late in the day. And these are changes that have happened over time. So what is true at one point isn't necessarily true in a year or 5 years or even
Yeah.
next week. So be
Yes, so
curious,
always
be aware,
exploring. Yeah.
explore, keep a journal if there's something that is prevailing. Um, you know, like recognizing that a food was causing nightmares. What a self-awareness thing. So that's paying attention, taking notice, noticing what you are consuming and how that plays out. I mean, what happens when you drink 8 glasses of water a day? What happens when you don't? What happens if you drink caffeine after 5 p.m.? How much sugar is your tolerance level? At what point does your body say that's enough? Or
Exactly. Yeah.
when is your body saying, give me more of that?
So the next one on our list is supplements, but I prefer not to talk about supplements and just say that there are supplements that can help reduce anxiety or introduce calmness. And if you feel this is the way you want, like not you, Neota, but if anyone
Yes.
who listens to us feels this is the way they want to go, just talk to your doctor, naturopathic doctor,
Yes.
and consult with them.
Always
We'll
consult with your doctor
Yeah,
before starting a new regime of any kind.
and we'll just move on to what you can do naturally to reduce anxiety, which goes to spending time in nature and exercise and
Yes.
immerse yourself in sunlight, in daylight.
Yeah. Yeah. To take that action to and use your mind while you are exercising to engage the idea that you are releasing those things that are no longer serving you, right? Using, I mean, just being in nature at all is delicious. It's a very healing. Get your shoes off. That's my suggestion. Take your shoes off. Be in nature. Be present in nature. And and then if you're working out to the point where you're working up a sweat, whether that's hiking or swimming or biking or like in the gym, anywhere that you're getting to a sweat, use an intention that your sweat is taking out of you toxins of anxiety or emotions that are overwhelming to you, or use it. That's
Yeah,
they say saltwater therapy. Have you heard of that? That's
yeah.
sweat, tears, or the ocean. One of them is going to
To
one of them
help.
is going to help you.
So I have an experience with running. So I started running again last year. And for me, I give myself suggestions while I'm running. So again, I'm not always doing the best or the way I wanted to run, but um, every time it evolves. So, for example, I connect with my heart, noticing my heartbeat. I connect with the sound of my steps
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
the ground. I connect with how my body moves. And if it's too hard for me, I always give myself suggestions in a way that imagine I have like springs in my feet that
Yeah.
they move higher and higher. So, find again, be curious, explore, see what you can get out of what you're doing, and extend it to the way that serves you.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
And something that some people find, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
yeah, no, go ahead.
Uh, with that suggestions is a chant. Sometimes
Yes,
a chant can be very centering and empowering. So, selecting a positive word or phrase and chanting it outside, inside, however it works. But you can do it. I have a little bit of repetitive comfort. And so, sometimes I'll use counting or something, and then I will try to incorporate my word of chant, whether that's peacefulness or strength, and go with the beat of my footsteps and chant, chant, chant. And it's just that focus, and it's bringing myself present and empowered, right? I'm again bypassing the anxious thoughts.
Yeah. I love it because I do it the same. Like there is something repetitive that goes in my mind when I need it, whether I run or whether I need to calm myself and I do something, then this is it. I just, because we are already almost getting into the hour, so I just want to say a few more things that we mentioned before.
Okay.
So prioritize sleep. However,
Yes.
saying about like sleep is very important because it's also restoring your health while you're sleeping. It's also good for your mental health, mental being, and but some people are feeling very anxious about sleep. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about it later in one of our next episodes, and how you can quiet your mind. Socializing with friends and family was another good one that we said. Meditation, you can use the chanting for meditation.
Yeah.
Practicing self-hypnosis, which we both love.
Yeah. Yes.
And last, what we have is just find a hypnotherapist you can work with, and a hypnotherapist
Absolutely.
that can empower you and teach you and share knowledge with you, and just not only do something for you, but co-creating with you, co-creating your solution.
That's right.
That you need, that you're looking for.
So using the state of hypnosis to locate and release the source of the anxiety, working with you to develop your personal tools that will empower you and override the anxiety or divert the anxiety. So yeah, finding a clinical hypnotherapist, Miri or myself, locally in Vancouver Island, or remotely anywhere in the world. We both see clients remotely, and using strategies, tools, and hypnotherapy to release the anxiety, have an anxiety-free life, or reduced anxiety in some people's cases.
Yeah. So I love our discussion today.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
using different tools and strategies to, to improve our quality of our life,
Yeah.
and to find different ways to experience life and live better. So for everyone who watched, thank you for staying with us. And we would love to answer any of your hypnotic questions, and any question at all. And you're welcome to contact us here in the comments, or just you can find in the description our contact details, and you can contact us directly if you want to. If you found any interest in our conversation, feel free to subscribe. We would love to see you subscribing to our channels, and we hope it will tickle your curiosity, and we hope you will explore how you can improve your own life. And until next time, thank you so much. From Neota and Miri. Bye-bye.
Bye.